throw to hit the ball harder and further than ever before. Coach Lyle takes athletes and coaches through the exact same hitting, training, and body movement program that he uses privately with his Major League Baseball players. For the average price of a few hitting lessons, members get access to over 75 hitting drills for an entire year, all designed to unlock your power as a hitter. Unlock your most powerful swing today.
Low pitch. She's due. Bat flip. Samantha Show extends the lead 13-9.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Matt Lyle, and today is Monday, February 15th, and this is the Hitting Vault live Q&A, where I try to help parents, coaches, and hitters around the world with my special guest, professional softball star, Samantha Show. Samantha, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And just a little note for everybody, Samantha is in Texas, and if you are a Texan, which honestly I have a huge following in Texas, a lot of you may not be tuning in today because you're covered in snow. So just so you know, I know Texans aren't used to that. I'm in California. We're not used to that either. So I've seen a lot of pictures of Austin and other places. It's a little crazy. And Samantha, I'm glad that you were able to make it through the snow onto the show.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, the Wi-Fi turned on maybe an hour ago. Luckily, we haven't lost electricity or anything. The only thing that was out was the Wi-Fi, first world problems, but I'm happy that was back on and that we're able to do this.
That's awesome. So if you're just tuning in, let me know that you're here and where you're tuning in from around the world this morning or maybe the afternoon or night for you. Last week, we had Natasha Watley and some other people, and we had people from New Zealand, Costa Rica, Australia, Canada, Mexico. So one of my favorite things about this show is people telling me where they're from. I just saw someone says, good afternoon from Kentucky, LaPorte, Texas, Ohio. Someone says they're in deep snow in Ohio as well. Tom, thanks for joining the show. Again, if you're just tuning in, hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're following this on Twitter, hit that retweet button, share it out to the world. Let them know that we're here answering your questions about Q&A, and start getting your questions ready for myself and for Samantha. I know you guys are always coming up with great questions. And again, it's awesome to see everybody. Guillermo tuning in from New Hampshire. Chris is in Virginia, Jen's in Boston, Matt's in St. Louis, Missouri, Jeff is in Dallas, PA, Wayne's in South Carolina, Candy in Springdale, Arkansas, and on and on. Snowed here in Indiana, says Bob. Lily says, thanks for doing this in Tennessee. Bangladesh, there we go. There's someone from a little further away. Long Island, New York, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So lots of great people tuning in from all over the world, and I appreciate you guys sharing that. And remember, if you can't join us live, if you're actually doing real work today and you can't be following in, this will be saved on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and everywhere else on YouTube, so you can watch it later. So as we're getting settled in, I'm starting to see some of the questions come in. I want to introduce my special guest today, Samantha Show. If you haven't heard of Samantha, or somehow you missed the opening scene where Samantha, he does this epic bat flip that went viral on ESPN and MLB. Samantha was a two-way star, pitcher and hitter at Texas A&M, then finished her career at Oklahoma State, now a professional with Athletes Unlimited, which is an awesome thing in itself, and we can talk about that for days. But Samantha, the bat flip happens, the thing goes epically viral, MLB, ESPN. The video is awesome, but tell us a little bit about the scene. Was it the first game of the season? Was it an important game? What was the score? Give us a little context into why this thing went nuts.
Yeah. The first one that got picked up, we were playing against Oregon my senior year. And funny enough, one of the managers on the team the night before had sent me a video of Megan Wiggins in the pro league bat flipping, and he was like, you won't do it. And I was like, man, I had actually bat flipped a couple times. I say bat flip. I've pimped to my junior year at A&M, and nothing got picked up by media. So it was like I had it in me, but I wasn't as comfortable yet. And then we're playing Oregon, and I think the game was tied, and I hit this ball if anyone knows Oregon softball's field, in left field, they have this really tall net. And I hit this ball and I almost cleared that net.
Wow.
And so initially I was like, oh my gosh, I crushed that ball. And then I guess from me watching that video the night before, I did, I flipped the bat. And then from then on, it just kind of carried over. And what I always say is like, that was me being comfortable. That was me having fun. That was me loving the game. And I'm an emotional player. You definitely know when I'm happy, whether I'm hitting, pitching, playing first, whatever it is, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And so that was just finally coming out in my hitting. And it was never, to rub it in the pitcher's face. I was always looking at my dugout, my girls, like, hey, we're still in this. It always happened when we were either like tied or it put us up. And so it happened a couple more times after that. And it was fun. It was crazy. I always think it was kind of silly for me to like get famous or known over this because like I was just having fun. And I watch the MLB and I watch those guys do it there, and the swag and composure that they have while they're doing it is something that I had always strived to be. And so it just finally came out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it was really fun. And, the opinions have really changed on that over the years. But, hey, if you're just tuning in, this is the Hitting Vault live Q&A with my special guest, Samantha Show. And, again, if you're just tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from. Mike's here in Newark, currently in Livermore, California. Casey says, I'm tuning in from Sand Springs, Oklahoma. I have some Samantha Show fans here hoping to do some bat flips themselves. Go Pokes. Melvin is in Seneca, Kansas. Aaron's in Lee Summit, Missouri. Peter says, I say hello to Samantha from Holland. She played with my daughter Maxine.
Yes.
For Bolatti, Italy. I hope I probably butchered all of that. So Peter, sorry for that. And David says rain and cold here in Virginia Beach. Eric is in Pearland.
I'm from there.
Yeah, so there you go. From there. Awesome. So hey, we got. I see a ton of questions coming in, and that's awesome. So Samantha, let's get right into them. The first question actually comes from me because you played at college you played in the SEC, played the Big 12, then now you've been playing in the pros. So my favorite question to ask is, as a hitter in college and the pros, you can choose two if you want. Who is the one pitcher or two that you absolutely, I know you're confident, I know you play with confidence, but like, who is the pitcher that you're like, oh man, I do not like facing this pitcher?
College wise, I'm gonna have to say Kelly Barnhill. I played her, all 4 years and a lot. And, the first couple years wasn't very successful off of her. And then finally, the more at bats I got, the better I got at understanding what she threw. But I played her in the pro league and, she still struck me out. But the next at bat, I went and I hit a home run. So it's like we kind of go back and forth. We have each other's number a little bit. I admire Kelly because to me, she kind of has that effectively wild sense, which I would like to have that as a pitcher as well. So I know where the ball's going to go, but not really. So I get in my head a lot. But her for college. And then my first year of pro, we played Team USA and I faced Monica Abbott. That was difficult. I think I finally fouled the ball off and I was just like, all right. And then the next pitch, I think I popped it up to second base, but still trying to figure out how to hit her well. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I had Riley Sartain last week, and she said Kelly Barnhill. Natasha Watley said Monica Abbott. So, I mean, Kelly and Monica, just so you know, like the best hitters in the game are saying that you're the toughest. That's a pretty good compliment. So, I'll tell you. So the next question comes from Larry King. He says, basic question, Samantha. What size bat do you use?
I love this question. Okay. I use a 34 drop 8. I started swinging that my senior year at OSU. When I got there, Coach D was like, you're a power hitter. You need to use a drop 8. And at that point, I didn't even know softball bats came in drop 8. And to find out that there's like science behind swinging a heavier bat at the right speed, the ball's going to go further. But I I laugh because like we're told, we have drop 10s and drop 11s as young softball players. And I think it's nice. I always encourage kids to try a heavier bat, at least practice with something a little bit heavier to just build that strength. And why not? Why can't we swing heavier bats? But yeah, drop 8, 34, Mizuno Carbon. It's my bat.
That's awesome. And I didn't pay let's see who asked that question. Larry, I didn't pay you to ask the question because I've actually been on the warpath lately, Samantha, online, social media, telling hitters, college softball players, hey, I know you dropped 10s when you were like 12 years old, 14 years old, but now that you're like in the weight room and like strong, how about we try some drop 9s and drop 8s? Because I know you guys can handle it. And, so I've been on the drop 8 train, and I know a lot of college players, even the ones I talk to nowadays, it's like freshmen, they're like, well, I'm a little afraid, it's too heavy. I'm like, no, you can do it. Trust me. So I've been trying to really get on my soapbox about drop 8s and drop 9 bats for college players.
I was surprised a lot of the pros, when I went up to like Athletes Unlimited, I was like, hey, what size bat do you swing? Like none of them had drop 8s. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Big girl to show you, I guess, how strong you are and ahead of the curve you are, because I think that's going to happen more and more as athletes are getting, in better shape and stuff like that. The next question comes from Matt. He says, what different things do you train when using a balanced bat versus an end-loaded bat? And so I don't know if anybody trains a whole lot different. For you, like I said, and feel is everything. Baseball and softball. For you, when you're using a bat, can you tell the difference between end-loaded and a balanced bat? And do you have a preference for you swinging it in training?
I think I'm used to an end-loaded. I used the Rocket Tech growing up. Mm-hmm. That was my favorite bat, and so I'm used to that. I want to say the bat that I'm swinging now is end-loaded, but I have no idea.
That's good.
Whatever feels good in my hands.
Starting to get it in a way that you're not feeling it as much.
Right.
I think that's really good. Next question is for you is when you step out of the on deck circle into the plate and you're gonna hit. What is your routine? Do you have a routine or something in your head or physically that you do in the box?
Yeah. So being a pitcher that hits, I observe the pitcher a bunch. And so I'm trying to figure out, what's the sequencing? Where's she wanting to go first pitch to a right-handed batter? So let's say I'm facing Cat. I'm thinking, all right, I got to get ahead. I'm going to swing early. And I got to look for that pitch on the outside part of the plate and low and drive it right back at her. So I'm more thinking, who am I facing? How am I going to be successful off her as I'm walking to the plate? But then once I get up there, I just got to look for ball over the plate, ball thigh high, and just trying to crush it through the fence, through the outfield fence in center field. I try not to do too much thinking. I tend to get in my head a lot, being a pitcher that does hit, trying to pick a pitch too hard or trying to guess, but just really focusing on using my eyes, trusting my eyes, and making sure that I'm getting my best swing off.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. It's a simple approach, but again, as a pitcher, also you're trying to kind of work through that. Like, what's the pitcher going to do? I'm going to think like a pitcher, and some of that mental battle is a little bit different than it is for a position player who doesn't pitch as well. So that's pretty good. If you're just tuning in right now, get your questions in. I've got my special guest, Samantha Show, and we are answering your questions live on Hitting. And I'm seeing lots of great questions coming in. This could be a very long answer, so I'm going to put a time limit on you because this is a great question. But Mike asks, he says, Athletes Unlimited reignited my love for pro sports like nothing has in years. And I would encourage everybody, if you don't know anything about Athletes Unlimited, do a Google search, go to their website. It's very interesting stuff. He says, and I think he speaks for everybody that loves softball. I want to see pro women's fast pitch succeed. How can we as fans help? So Athletes Unlimited's got some momentum. You got your first baseball card, I guess, softball card, and it got some momentum. It has had some success. in your opinion as a player and how you experienced, this last season with this new format, what do you think as fans, how can they help to keep that fire going or make it succeed?
Yeah, just watch. If you can make it out to a game, come out, support us. But watch, tell your friends to watch. I think that's the biggest thing for us right now is just trying to keep that traction with those views on, if you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're watching, however you're watching, just watch. That's all we ask. And this past season was hard because we didn't have fans in the stands, but y'all really stepped up at home and watched and supported us and bought the shirts and whatever we were able to offer to y'all. So, just watch, and
awesome.
Tell your friends, tell your families.
Yeah, and I think everybody probably understands a little bit about like how social media works and like all the algorithms, but like the reason I say at the beginning of the show and say now, like, hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're on Twitter, hit the retweet button. And trust me, people, right now, click on that like button. Because when you do that, it helps more people see it. And so just like Samantha's saying, for Athletes Unlimited, when you see their content online, share it, retweet it. The more eyes you can share on, even if you don't think that it makes a difference, if you're a fan of softball and you see the stuff, hit the like button or hit that retweet button or share button. And when you do that, it's telling the social media channels, hey, people are interested in this, and it's going to spread it out to a further reach. So my advice for the day is, if you are a fan of softball or anything like that, make sure you're engaging with those pages. And when you do that, it helps out. So if you're looking to support a program and you can't do it financially, by sharing or retweeting, liking, that helps spread the word out a little bit. So the next question comes from Joe, and it's for you, Samantha. What is some advice you can give to a younger girl athlete to help deal with overcoming the pressure of performing? Also, how to stop trying to play perfect, not wanting to make mistakes. So I'm going to kind of add to this question for you. You played softball your whole life and then played in college, now in the pros. And tell us a little bit about what's your advice for kids that are coming up in that and all the pressure about performing and perfectionism, but share it kind of from your perspective and, and what your journey was a little bit with that.
So I have loved softball. I have an older half sister and half brother who played baseball, softball. So from the first time I saw it, I was in love, and I am a perfectionist. I don't want to screw up. I don't want to lose. I don't want to mess up. So I get this 100%. And it's going to be hard for your daughter to understand what I'm going to say, because it's a very hard lesson to learn. And what I've just told myself over the years, like, softball is a game, right? Games are fun. And when you're not having fun, that's when things start going not as well, in my opinion. So understanding we are human, we are going to make errors, we are going to make mistakes, we are going to strike out. The pros do it, MLB players they do it, I do it. I led the league in strikeouts. I tied for how many strikeouts I had in Athletes Unlimited. So it happens. And the only thing that you need to focus on, if the next at bat, the next play, you're going to get another play. You're going to get another ball. You have to make the most out of that ball, right? You can't worry too much about the ball you just fumbled, or the ball that just went between your legs, or the pitch you just left over the plate. You're going to get that next pitch, and your team needs you to focus on that next play, that next pitch. If you strike out, give yourself that walk from the batter's box to where you put your stuff down to be mad, because trust me, like I said, I show my emotions. I get angry, so I give myself from wherever I got out at to the bench where I put my stuff down to be mad. And then once I put my stuff down, it's done. On to the next play, on to cheering on the my teammate in the box, or I got to go make a pitch, got to go make a play. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I've had this rule for the last few years at the places I've coached, is that you get about 30 seconds. That's what I'll give you. Our rule is 30 seconds and as long as it's not public. And so like at South Carolina, we had a bathroom at the end of the dugout. And at Fresno State, there's a little locker room right around the corner. So if you want to go in there and scream and yell, You can do that as long as, like I said, no, like, nobody sees you or hears you do that, and then come back composed. I'm totally fine. And that's the thing that's kind of nice about softball versus like basketball or soccer, where you don't get that
Right.
recovery time. Yeah, go in there and like, oh, and I've, as a coach, I've done it. And like you said, when you get older, if you ever coach, coaches do it too. But take that time at 20, 30 seconds, hit that reset button, come back in, but you got to be ready to go from there. So. Hey, if you're just tuning in right now, we've got about 10 minutes left on my live Q&A with my special guest, pro softball player Samantha Show. And if you are just tuning in and somehow you've missed what we've been talking about, we're answering your questions live about hitting. And let me know where you are tuning in from. We've got some international people today: Bangladesh, Holland, Canada, and a lot of people in frozen Texas. So I guess the good news about frozen Texas is the people that do have the Wi-Fi and the power, at least they can tune into this show right now and avoid some work. So make sure you're letting us know where you're tuning in from. That would be great. Hey, Tom's got a question for you, Samantha. I think it's a great one. At what age did you realize that you had a special love and talent for the game? Mine is a 14-year-old pitcher as well. So I want you to separate the two because, like, for me, I'll tell you what, I mean, my mom still tells stories like moms do about how I use my bottle as a bat. And like literally since birth, I was obsessed with baseball. But like, I would say 12 years old, for me, I started realizing, hey, you know what? I'm actually looking around. I'm pretty good here. I wasn't the best player around, but I could tell like, hey, you know what? I've got a little bit of talent. And as I kind of got in, and then my freshman year of high school, I will never forget, I went to tryouts and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make the team. And one of the seniors is like, bro, I think you're a starter on varsity. And I was like, what? And so that was kind of the moment for me. Like my freshman year, I realized, oh my gosh, like I actually can hang with these kids, but I had no idea. For you, right. Two parts. Like when did you like fall in love with softball? And then two, like when did you realize, hey, you know what? Like I'm pretty good here.
So like I mentioned earlier, I have two older half siblings who played. So I can remember maybe being 3 or 4. And at the time my sister was playing kid pitch and I'd get a tennis ball or some small ball and I was doing the circle to a wall. So that's when I fell in love with it and, didn't want anything else but softball. When I realized that I would probably say around that time, 12, 13, how great Facebook is. We get these great like memories or like flashbacks from the past. And I made a post saying like, you may want to get my autograph one day. It's going to be worth something. And I was like 12 or 13. And I kind of asked my parents, I was like, when did y'all know I was good? And they were like, maybe when you were in high school. I was like, dang, I knew way before y'all. But again, I loved this game. I remember crying when practice got canceled, going to the backyard and throwing the ball up on the roof and hitting it back up on the roof, or, fielding. My house that I grew up in backed up to the field the ballpark I played in. So like I was there all the time. I was a field rat. I still am. I love this game. And it's been in my blood, but I've known for a long time that I was going to be good, and I didn't really give myself another option.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll tell you, like, I know a lot of parents resonated with it, a lot more than kids nowadays, but like, yeah, you practice pop flies by throwing the ball on the roof and then trying to catch it coming down. And like my garage door was just peppered with balls, like on ground balls, and like getting in trouble with my mom all the time about throwing balls against the garage door. And that's how you know, like, that your kid loves the game. So, Crystal asked this question. She says for young players, but I think it's good. I think it's good for everybody. How do you suggest strengthening the mental side of the game? So is there anything that you do, whether it's books or video, anything that you've done in your career that stood out to you? Like, oh, hey, because I know there's some teams that do some great, I'm a big fan of John Gordon and some of the books that he's done. Is there anything for you that has stuck out for mental training in your career?
Honestly, just watching videos of myself doing well. I think it was my freshman year at A&M. The coaches asked some of the managers to put together like a highlight reel of everyone, and just being able to watch that before a game and kind of visualizing doing that in the game against South Carolina or, against Florida or something like that. That's what helped me the most. I will say, the confidence for me has always been there. Mentally, though, I am very hard on myself. And so understanding, like, I was playing for A&M, like I was there for a reason. I'm good enough to pitch against LSU and Florida and all these schools. And so being able to watch those videos of me getting a strikeout on a rise ball or, hitting a opposite field home run off Delaney Gurley, like I was meant to be there. And that's what's helped me the most, be mentally prepared.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, this is a good one. I think everybody's different on this one, so I'm always curious to hear. But Matt asks, how much time do you spend working with tee versus pitching machine versus live pitching? So when you're practicing, like, and you go out and practice, and let's say you have a setting where you have like people to help you, not just on your own,
right?
But it's a practice setting. What's a routine, or what do you prefer to hit off of? Is a lot of tee, a lot of front toss, live? What works for you?
I love starting off the tee, just to get my body warm. If I'm feeling anything that's kind of off, the tee is a great place for me to work on. The only time I'm going to use a machine is if we're facing someone that's throwing hard or that has really good movement, because to me, the machine is not to hit well off of, it's to make those adjustments from pitch to pitch. So facing someone like Kelly Barnhill, okay, you got to throw a rise ball that's better than hers so you know how to hit it or how to make those adjustments. I love hitting off live. I'd rather get someone full circle so I can have a ball coming into me with some spin, with some velocity, so I can get my timing right, so I can feel the bat come off the ball the way that it would in a game. Yeah, I think that's my answer.
That's great. Hey, as we've got a few minutes left here and a couple more great questions, but I want to give some shout outs because I know people have been tuning in for every week on these. So Kelly in Omaha, Amber's in Bixby, Oklahoma. Jean is in Norfolk, Virginia. We've got Chloe in Flagstaff, Arizona. Nicola in Serbia.
Nice. So
it's got to be nighttime over there. Linwood is in Roanoke, Virginia. Mike in Tennessee. El Paso, Texas. Is there any? That's one of the hottest places I've ever been in my entire life. El Paso, Texas. Kelly from Delaware. Debbie's in Flemington. Chris is in Temecula, California. So lots of great people tuning in all over. Here's a question I'm curious as well. Chris asks, as a pitcher yourself, did you find it more gratifying hitting a bomb off the opposing pitcher or striking her out?
I feel like my answer has changed. It's going to change day to day. I'd say right now it's probably more gratifying for me to hit a home run. But like I said, it's going to change day to day.
Just depending on the team and the player.
I'm sure everything's
a little bit different. That's good. Hey, Michael asks, hey, Samantha, how much time do you spend training your body? And how much has that changed from high school, college, and pros? And I'll say, like, as a high school senior that goes into a freshman college program, in my experience, it's like a shell shock of like, and some girls did do a lot of training in high school. I'd be curious to what your experience was, but most of them have done nothing. And then it's like 4 days. When I got my first college coaching job in softball was at Oregon, and we were lifting 4 days a week in the fall. And I'm telling you, girls were like, oh my gosh, this is insane. So for you, what's been your journey from working on your body, strength conditioning, stuff like that? High school, college, pros.
Yeah. High school, I did not lift weights. I think we did a little bit, but not to where I was getting like any gains or preparing my body better. And to me, so I committed to A&M as a 14-year-old. So I was just a freshman in high school. And what they told us is like, if you don't have someone teaching you the right things, just don't do it. Wait till you get here. So go from no weightlifting training whatsoever. And then I get to A&M where we were lifting 4 times a week, running on the same days as lifting. My body went through a shock. But I fell in love with training. I fell in love with lifting weights and getting stronger and seeing my legs grow and seeing, my body transform over the years. And I got the cool experience to go to 2 colleges. So my body changed even more my senior year just because it was a different program. And then coming into pros where you don't have anyone kind of forcing you to do it, I've had to find a way to get it done, and I'm working with a speed and strength guy to change me completely as an athlete. And yeah, so I've fallen in love, but I would just say, especially for females, making sure you're getting taught proper mechanics.
Yeah.
Because I feel like from a young age, we don't really get taught those things.
Yeah. I would say my best advice for parents of 13, 14, 15-year-olds who are just beginning to do like weightlifting stuff, technique is the most important thing, because that's where injuries happen and bad stuff happens if you're not doing it right. All right. You still there?
I am. I'm here.
All right. Don't make sure the Texas storm didn't hit. All right. Next question, a couple more here. This next question, you feel free to plead the fifth, because this one's a little tricky. This comes from John. I'm going to say his name wrong. It's Stormy's dad, John Kotzelnik. His daughter Stormy plays for Washington. He says, Samantha, in your opinion, who is the best hitting coach you've ever worked with?
Oh, man. Okay. I'm not going to plead the fifth.
Okay.
I got to go with my guy, Jeff, at OSU. He was the best for me. Like I was saying about my approach earlier, super simple. I don't need a lot. I got to keep it simple. He would just be like, Sam, just swing the bat. Like, you don't got to do much, just swing the bat. Stop thinking, get your knee down and just swing the bat. And I was like, Jeff, luckily he was also my pitching coach. So me and him worked a lot together.
Nice.
But, Jeff Cottrell down in Stillwater, he's my favorite. He's the best.
That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to ask you our final question of the day here, and it's going to be a pitching question. Oh,
wow.
Casey asks, are there really good pitchers enough to be a great high school pitcher? I think this time, are three really good pitches enough to be a great high school pitcher, or do you really need 4 or 5? And I kind of joke because I'm not a pitching coach, but coaching in college a long time, it's like we come across these pitchers like, I have 7 pitches. It's like, what? I didn't know there was 7 pitches. Are 3 really good pitches enough, or do you need 4 or 5? And answer the question for me 2-part. Like, tell us, what is it that you throw? Like, what are your main pitches that you throw? How many do you throw?
I would say my top 3, my drop, my rise, and my changeup. I know how to throw a curveball and I know how to throw my fastball. But I don't believe in a screwball, so don't come at me for that. I also don't believe that you can throw a drop curve and a screw rise and all this stuff. To me, you're just being lazy, because you're not going to make your curveball better or your drop ball better. You just mix the two. So I'm a pitching coach right now at a facility, so I'm happy to get this question. I tell all my pitchers, you need to have 3 good pitches. If you go and talk to any professional pitcher, they're going to tell you they throw 3. And a lot of the times the fastball is still getting thrown. And that's another thing that I fell victim to when I was playing select ball. I went away from my fastball because I learned all these fun new movement pitches. You can get anyone out throwing fastball where you want to, when you want to, and then mixing a changeup in there. You don't need movement. It helps, but if you're confident in yourself enough, you can get by with just a fastball. So what I'll say, yeah, you can be a great high school pitcher. You could be a great college pitcher. You could be a great pro pitcher with just 3 pitches.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I just want to let everybody know today's episode is brought to you by thehittingvault.com. And the Hitting Vault is the internet's #1 online hitting membership and is a complete hitting system for both baseball and softball that teaches coaches and players the right way to unlock their full power, hit the ball further, and build more confidence, both in hitting and life. I just want to thank my special guest today, Samantha Show, pro softball player, college stud, for answering all these great questions. So many great questions from everybody today. So thank you. And before you leave today, everybody, I want you to do a couple things. One, I want you to hit the like button. Hit that like button right now. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, hit the like button. Hit the share button if you really like today's episode. And then Samantha, before we let you go, if we want to learn more about you, or if we're in Texas and we want to get pitching lessons from you, how do we find you? I know I follow you on Instagram and on Twitter, but if I want to learn more about Samantha Show and learn more about you and maybe work with you as a pitching coach, where can I find out more about you?
So very early stages, but I do have a website, samanthashowsoftball.com. You could go on there, and if you want to get pitching lessons, you absolutely can. Nice. But the best way to learn more about me is probably through Instagram and Twitter. I'm definitely in the building stages of trying to get that part of my career built. So if anyone's out there that can help me with that, DM me on Instagram. But
there you go. All right, so SamanthaShowSoftball.com, and then search her. What is your handle on Instagram?
Show me what you got. So obviously show me what, and then CHU got. I made that my freshman year of high school, and it has stuck ever since.
Stuck with you.
And then I think my Twitter handle is just Samantha Show 03.
So did I get this right here? Did I spell it right? Show me what you got, or?
So the U is CHU got chew. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I gotcha. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, again, like if you're on Instagram or Twitter, if you just type in the word Samantha Show,
it should come up.
It'll find you. You got that little check mark going on Twitter. So, and on Instagram. So, hey, make sure you guys check her out. Check out her website, and make sure and I'll tell you what, also, we need to collect your softball card, right? Topps made Athletes Unlimited softball cards. So make sure you guys check that out. It's pretty awesome. Thanks again for being my guest today and answering so many awesome questions. And I'm getting so many responses here from everybody saying, thanks, Samantha, you were awesome. So you did awesome. And everybody, it's Monday. It's a holiday. Hopefully you guys are, and if you're in Texas or anywhere in the Midwest or with all the storms going on, stay safe, stay indoors, and we'll all see you soon. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.